Well, hello, Sonder family. Happy Sunday. We have some new friends among us tonight. I'm so glad to welcome everybody. My name is Jennifer Ogilvy, and I get to be your facilitator as we set up for a new week. Yay. So if you are a first timer, do what Heather just did and drop in it's me. This is my first time so that we can give you a huge Sonder family welcome. Oh my goodness, I love that you guys are here, that you've joined this time to set up your week. Lots of you already have your cadence. You know exactly what you're going to do, but you make an appointment with yourself and to gather with all these other like-minded folks to set yourself up for a great week. So we are glad you are here. Welcome, welcome. This is a great community. You belong here. You are safe here, and we are just so glad that you've made this time to get yourself ready for a new week. So very quickly, let me remind you, double check that chat box right now and make sure that you see your name to everyone. If it says to host and panelist, only myself and my co-facilitator, the fabulous Bailey, coming to us from Tennessee, will be able to see your message. So Bailey just popped on camera. I hope that most of you guys could see her. She's giving you a big wave, that gorgeous smile. We love Bailey's big, beautiful smile. She is co-facilitating with me. So if there's anything that comes up during our time together, you have a question, Bailey's going to do her best to answer that or to point you in the right direction. So let's take a look at the community guidelines for our time together. We are part of this beautiful thing called Sonder Club, and our community guidelines, pretty cut and dry. We're going to be kind and courteous to one another, and there's no bullying. This is not a space for anything negative or any hate speech. If you have questions, be sure to drop them in the chat and Bailey will try to answer them. I'll also hop on when I'm not chatting. And, a lot of times folks may want to know, what kind of pens do you use? That kind of stuff. That is a great type of question to drop into Sonder Club, and folks can let you know what they use in their journal to enhance their journals. And if you come to a coloring social every now and then, we'll put up on the screen the things that our Sonder family likes to use as far as pencils and pens and that kind of thing. And a final reminder, we're digging into loyalty this month as our theme. And so sometimes themes can hit us a little hard. So if at any time anything ever feels uncomfortable, give yourself permission to just sit and maybe come back to it later if it's not hitting right. Because the number one thing is you are taking care of yourself. And if a journal response doesn't hit right, that is okay. Allow yourself that permission. So I did allude to the fact we are talking about loyalty this month. And what is really cool about it is I've always felt like I was a very loyal, dedicated person to those folks in my life. But when you turn it inward, like Mayha's letter said, and if you haven't read her letter, be sure to go to the front of your journal and read that letter. She talks about the importance of being loyal to yourself. And man, when you think of it that way, that is elevating to that self-care, that ultimate self-care of serving yourself first, taking care of yourself first so that you can be the best to everybody else that is in your life. The whole, if you're on the airplane and the oxygen mask come down, you're supposed to put your oxygen mask on first and then take care of the folks around you. So man, I think loyalty just speaks to this self-care idea so deeply. So let's talk about what our agenda looks like tonight. We're going to dig into our loyalty mind map. Now, if you're joining us for the first time, I'll explain what a mind map is, and you can kind of work on this when we're finished so that you can catch back up with week one if you'd like to. We'll do our rosebud thorn reflection from this past week. We will have our weekly setup, and I have a ton of examples to share with the Sonder family from the Sonder family. If you're brand new, a helpful hint is to maybe grab your phone so you can snap a picture of a screen or an image that speaks to you that you might want to consider using in your journal, or maybe take a screenshot, because our journals are awesome. They're printed with all these great spaces, and you may use all these spaces as they are. But we also have a lot of ideas and suggestions for repurposing some of these spaces to better fit your needs. And so you may want to grab screenshots so that you can kind of consider how you're going to maybe use something new in your journal. And I'll tell you, it took me about, I would say, 4 to 5 months to sort of get the cadence of what works for me in my journal. That's what's so cool about this. This is a tool for your well-being. It is neutral. If you don't get something done in there, that's not anything on you. It's like, okay, I set a goal, I didn't make it. It's piece of paper. So keep that in mind also as you are working through that. And I'm seeing a lot of folks are having storms. We're just hot in the Dallas area, Dallas, Texas area. And anyway, after our weekly setup, we will close out. So let's talk about our loyalty mind map. So we're exploring loyalty, specifically what it means to be loyal to yourself, putting yourself first, which is really tricky for lots of us. But when you stay loyal to who you really are, you validate that self-love, and then you kind of show the world, this is how I expect to be treated. So at these weekly setups, we do a mind map, which means we take the theme of loyalty and we do a deep dig into different parts of ourselves through the lens of loyalty. So last week, we looked at what our core beliefs and our core values are. This week, we are going to examine our likes and our dislikes. And I'll share with you what my page looks like and what I've ended up doing. So if you're here with us for the very first time, you may want to just jot down, okay, core values and beliefs, and maybe go back. And then that way your mind map can have, week 1 and week 2. Then next week, we'll reveal the third kind of way we're leaning into the lens of loyalty. And then week 4 will be the final way. So we do this at every weekly setup. We're going to work on this mind map. Now, some tips. You can use a blank page in your journal for this. You can go to the quote page on page 38. That's what I've done. I'm going to show you my page in just a second. Maybe you'll use the definition page, which is page 3. Some people like to use that weekly scratch pad that's over on the right side of the weekly spread, and they'll do week 1 during that week 2 during the next week, and so forth. Or you could just do sticky notes and maybe move them around your journal so that you're looking at all of these things that we're working on throughout the month. So this is how I've set my page up. I actually did use the definition page. The quotes page. I like seeing that quote. If you can't be loyal to yourself, it's impossible to give others loyalty. You can't offer what you don't have. And so it just resonated with me. I love that reminder. So I built my mind map around this quote. Now, for week 2, we're looking at likes and dislikes. And I could go really, really deep here. And Bailey and I were actually chatting about this. This could almost be a whole journal prompt social where we look at the things that we like and that we dislike when we're really digging into being loyal to self. But for the sake of time, and because this is a weekly activity, we're going to kind of try to keep it a little short, but you may want to go back and really dig in to the things that really resonate in your core, the things you like and dislike. So I put for week 2, I just divided it into 2 sections, and I kind of just jotted the first things that came to my mind. The things that keep me loyal to myself that I like. I like to be challenged to learn new things. I'm an early retiree, so I try to be very, very focused on making sure that I'm always still learning new things, having to keep that mind snappy. I like being part of a team or being part of community. I like the legacy that I've created. I have a different legacy for the people that I raised than what I brought into my adult life. I've left that behind, and I recreated or I created a new legacy. I like that I can discern the main thing, right? Kind of, try to step away from emotion. I've gotten better at that as I've gotten older. I also like to matter to others. It means a lot to me to be counted on and that people want me in your life. And we are, Megan, this is actually the weekly mind map that we're working on, and I'm sharing mine, and I built my mind map on the actual quotes page, which is page 38, but you may be doing your weekly mind map somewhere else. The things I don't like, oh boy, I could go, we could really get into this, but the first things that just popped in my mind, I don't like slothiness or laziness in someone. And I did tell Bailey, I said, my husband's a really good sloth since he's retired. And honestly, I could probably take some lessons from him about, it's okay to sit still every now and then. I tend to be the kind of person that doesn't like to let grass grow under her feet. I don't like when I can't count on somebody who's supposed to be one of my people. I don't like being left out. I don't, let's see, not having support of others. That really is something I don't like. I don't like the unknown. I like to be planned, and I kind of like to lead that planning to be in charge. When change of plans or problems are presented to me, I don't like that if they don't come with a solution. So when I was a school administrator, I didn't mind problems, but if you come with a complaint or problem, also have some ideas so that we can move forward and make things better. And then I don't like my worst case scenario mind. I kind of tend to overthink things and worry, worry, worry. And husband always teases me that worrying must work because about 99% of what you worry about never happens. So something must be working right. So I want you to kind of just sit with this for a second. Think of the things that, those first things that come to mind that you really like, that help you be loyal to yourself, but also the things that you dislike. That helps with that loyalty to self, to be aware of that. And I'm going to put on a song and I'll come back and check with you in just a minute. Okay, you guys have shared some really good stuff as you're exploring this part of how you are loyal to yourself and really knowing yourself. And, some of this stuff, the dislikes, like maybe the things that we don't really like about ourselves, that can, when we sit with this and we put it on paper, it's kind of the beginning point of really reflecting on who we are. And then we can embrace it and try to make it better. I there's righteous anger, right? Like it's okay to get really mad about some things that need to be changed. So we have to figure out like how we go about using that anger for good, right? And so these sort of activities really help us get to know ourselves better. And maybe, oh, maybe if I don't like this, I need to put up a boundary and start working on that. So thank you. Oh my gosh, Michelle, one mind, right? We were just talking about that. So I appreciate you working on this with me this evening. And again, like I said, you might kind of have this bouncing around in your brain as you're going through the week, considering what that loyalty looks like through the lens of your likes and your dislikes. So now let's go to page 36, which is the end of this week. And we're going to do our rosebud thorn reflection. And so if this is your first time to join us, we do this on the weekly. It's just a quick glimpse back into the week. What were the highlights, the happy moments, the things that you want to celebrate? Those are your roses. Your buds are maybe some things that are getting ready to happen, some opportunities that you are seeing in your life, or some things that you're laying groundwork for so that you can eventually bring them to fruition. And then the thorns are the things that just haven't gone well. Maybe there are illnesses, or I know many of you are caregivers, and that makes your week extra hard. So I just, what are those sort of those challenges? Maybe it's something that you can leave behind. Maybe it was a bad week at work with a coworker, and you're just gonna, okay, that did not serve me. Goodbye. I'm burying it for the week, and we're gonna start fresh next week. So for me, my rose, I got to meet my great nephew. My niece has been on an infertility journey for a long time, and she was able to grow, she and her husband were able to grow their family through adoption, and we got to meet that new little great nephew this week. My bud has been my bud for a little bit, a couple weeks. We are working on finalizing all the details for our family vacation. We're taking everybody's coming, the grands, the kids, and we are celebrating a milestone birthday. It's me. I'm turning 60 in July, and so we're all going to be together, and I'm very excited about that. And then my thorn was the internet went down for a couple of days, and doggone it, I hate to say how much I rely on the internet, but it put us back on some things we needed to take care of. So that was my thorn. I know it's not a biggie in terms of a lot of thorns you guys are dealing with, but I know you feel me though with the inconvenience of that internet. So you work on your rosebud thorns. Please feel free to share in the chat as you're comfortable, and I'll come back in and check on you. Okay, I want to say that you never, anyone here, never ever has to apologize for sharing from your heart, especially the things that are tender and tough. And we just want you to know that we are here for you. And if you have moments of feeling alone or just really down about something that you've shared with us, know that we're carrying that in our heart with you. This is a great community, lots of support. So never feel like we're just here, right? And there's no judgment passed, and we want to be here for each other. So don't ever feel like, oh, I'm bringing, no, just bring it. Let us help carry that with you. That's the beauty of our Silk and Sonder community. So thank you for working through the rosebud thorn reflection with us, and let's get on with our weekly setup now. Very quickly, someone did ask in the chat, I saw, what is the one thing box? So every day of your weekly, you have these one thing boxes, and people, you can drop in the chat right now how you use that. I personally put my daily affirmation in that one thing box. I know lots of folks maybe play Wordle and they put their Wordle word. So just, if Reverend Joy says she puts her daily affirmation. I'm seeing one win of the day, kind of that reflection, the biggest task for work and home. So you can kind of look there. Those one thing boxes, it's up to you. You can make it work for you. Now, I've got a whole list here. By no means is this exhaustive, but if you're brand new, you might want to grab a screenshot. This is a lot of the information that people will include in their weekly setup, and just some things to think about. In this time of year, I'm a gardener in my retirement, and so like my sleep tracker becomes my garden tracker, and I'll just make notes of like I fertilized or I sprayed for bugs or whatever on that sleep tracker. So I use one of my trackers as a garden tracker. I repurpose it. So this is a great slide for you to click on if capture an image of if you're kind of figuring out how you're going to use these pages. But the main thing I want to keep reminding you, this is a tool to help you be the best version of you, right? So make it work for you. So I did include right here this little calendar of June as a reminder that even that little calendar, I've never really used it. I look at it, but this person has highlighted some of these days of that week, and they're doing, class, appointments, and a social. So it's like a quick week at a glance, and they can look at that calendar and go, oh, I know I've got something on the 8th. And I just think that's a nice idea. I wanted to share that with you. So we are going to be working on page 40, which is week 24 of this monthly journal, this year, week 24. And the first thing we want to do is to kind of think about the week we have ahead and think about, how do I want to feel? What do I need to get accomplished? And how do I want to feel when that happens? So there's lots of ways you can frame this space out. Now, I'm going to ask you in a couple minutes, how are your goals going to accomplish how you're going to feel? I'd like you to drop in the chat how you would like to feel this week. Here's a lot of ideas. You could do one word, several words, a quote. Maybe there's a mantra or an affirmation that you're going to put in this space to remind you of how you want to feel. Put a sticker there or a picture. Maybe there's something you just want to focus on, one item. You can frame this out in lots of different ways. And so here, here's some feeling words if you're kind of stuck looking for that. And I'm seeing some things here. Productive without feeling overwhelmed. I like being very specific with that. Persistent, safe, secure. I want to feel together. I want to feel confident. Just love me again. Sparkling. Oh, I love that. Centered and grounded. Think about what you have this week. I want to be brave. I want to feel blessed, rested and ready. Loving, of everyone around me, all the creatures, humans and animals. Majestic, love that. Committed to living my best life, supportive of others, endless possibilities, abundant. So think of all those things that are going to help you figure out how to get there this week, how you're going to embrace that feeling. Go ahead and write this in that space. And we're going to then look at our weekly 3 major goals. Now, that's the space right underneath how we want to feel. And again, how will these goals that we're going to set for ourselves support that feeling that we want to have? And I want to remind you, if you want to feel sparkly, you don't have to set 3 goals. Maybe you're going to set 1 goal, or maybe you need 5 goals this week. Again, you can use the page as is, or you can work this out to meet the needs that you have this week. Now, here's some suggestions on how to maybe come up with these goals, because sometimes it's hard. You just sit there and you're like, I don't know how to put it down on paper. I've got a lot of tasks to do, and I'm not sure how to frame this out in the sense of goals. Some ideas. You can go look at those intentions that you set back on page 9. Remember, we did that a couple of weeks ago. How are you doing? Are you needing to make some goals to make sure that those intentions are being addressed? Or do you need to take time to change those intentions? You could set your goals this week through the lens of loyalty, maybe really exploring those likes and those dislikes that you are becoming aware of, and being loyal to yourself. Maybe there's 3 no goals. Get rid of 3 things that are not serving you that you'll use as your goals this week. You can go look at anything that's outstanding and bring it forward. I do that a lot. I'll just bring it from one week into the next. Because again, like I said, if I don't make those goals, it's neutral. It's neutral. It doesn't mean that I'm any less of a person because I didn't meet a goal. Just a reminder. Maybe you'll set a personal challenge, like a health challenge or a money challenge this week. And then lots of folks will do 3 categories, and then that helps them kind of narrow those goals down. And some examples are mind, body, soul, left brain, right brain, no brain, maybe community, work, home, delete, delegate, delight, revive, relax, reconnect. Let's look at what these could look like. This is mine that's on the left from a few weeks ago, and you've heard the term eat the frog or eat the toad. It's like, get that one thing out of the way that you don't want to do. So I did frog, fruitful, and fun. And so the frog was something that I didn't want to do, but really needed to do it. Being fruitful is something that just kind of pays it forward into my life. And then just a moment of fun, making sure I'm being deliberate about scheduling that time in. You see mind, body, and work there in the middle. Someone was using celebrate as how they want to feel, and they're going to celebrate health, family, and vacationing. Here's some more ways that folks have set this up. There's the 3 major goals there on the left. I love the authentic over there on the right, with a mind, body, spirit connection to those goals. There in the very bottom, the very middle bottom is, I'm going to delete something, I'm going to delegate something, and I'm going to delight in something. And here's 3 more: mind, body, heart. You can see here's 4 major goals: read, write, move, work. And then kind of broke that out into some do's, some to-dos. And then I always appreciate the left brain, the right brain, and the no brain. So I'm going to put on some music while you set this section up. Feel free to share, what do you do? How do you come up with your major goals? And do any of these frameworks work for you? Have you done it in the past? Feel free to share that in the chat, because when we share, we help one another. All right, we're going to have a really good week because you are thinking about those feelings you want to have, but you're tying them into the goals that you have. And I don't know if you just heard that, but we obviously have big thunder moving in. So crossing my fingers, the internet will hold steady. Bailey, be ready. So now let's scoot over there to the left and look at our weekly to-dos. And we always like to mention the Eisenhower matrix. This is such a good tool for those really long to-do lists. So if you have a crazy, crazy week coming up, you might want to utilize this tool. It helps you take all the things on that list and pop them into the different areas. Are they urgent and important? Those are the things you need to get done, all the way down to the things that make you realize, oh, this is not urgent and this is not important. And I was sharing at last night's social weekly setup that I tend, when I have a lot to do, my nature is to go to the not important and not urgent things first, and I don't prioritize. So this kind of tool will help you make sure that you are using your time wisely and taking care of the things that need to be taken care of. And so this is what it looks like. Some of our Sonder family members have used this tool, and you can see the examples that they have shared on how that works. And you can see the little, I kind of say it's like the Cliff Notes version of the Eisenhower matrix over there on the left. And that yellow box, that's going to be what you prioritize. It's the best way to get those to-dos, get the important stuff done. So you can decide, do I need to do it now, plan it, delegate it, or drop it? And I will come back through all of these slides while you're working on your to-do list. Here are some examples, again, from Sonder family. And I do like to point the one out up at the top because I love how this person is very intentional with those three major goals. You see them: balance, budget, bylaws. Those were the important goals for that week. Then over in the to-dos, look how the to-dos directly correspond to that particular weekly goal. So that's a really nice way of framing that out, of making your to-dos be intentional to the goals that you've set. Goals tend to be these bigger picture things, and then the to-dos are the steps to get you through those goals. There's also ways of just dividing this space up. Work and home, you do your to-dos just like it says, or perhaps you're going to create some to-dos for your morning and your evening rituals, like you see over there on the right. Maybe just a really great quote goes in this space. Lots of folks love the to-do bingo, the ta-da bingo list, and you can see an example of that on the bottom left. I am a bingo girl, and I have a bingo every week. I pop mine over in the shopping list. I do tasks and treats, and it's just a way to gamify the chores that you don't want to do, because there's a lot of satisfaction for some of us to be able to color those blocks in and make a game out of it. I love the one bottom middle, to be. How am I going to be this week? And then maybe we need to take some things away. What do we need to subtract from this week? Make a to not do list, like you see inspired by one of our Instagram posts over there on the bottom right. If you're not following us on Instagram, it's got great content. So look up Silk and Sonder. You'll love what you see every day. And then finally, I do this. I am team ta-da. I just leave it blank. I write over to do and I change it to ta-da. And my to-dos go in my weekly setup, the Monday through Sunday spread. I'll put them in those days. But the extras that I do, the accomplishments that I have that are not already on the to-do list, I celebrate by making it a ta-da list. So let me go ahead and put on some music while you're working on this section. Let us know if you make this a straight to-do list or what you do to change it up to work in your life. Right. The chat was great. It's filled with some neat ideas for this space. So if you didn't have a chance to look at that, scroll back up through there. Something that someone else is doing may be very inspiring to you on how you use this space. So now let's look at our habit and activities for the week. And that's that section along the very bottom of page 40. Now, you do have your habit tracker, the monthly habit tracker that you use. Those tend to be those things we want to do on a daily basis throughout the month. The weekly habit and activity tracker can be varied depending on what you have going on in that week. You can go look at your tracker, your monthly tracker. You can go look at those intentions to be inspired for this section. But here's a ton of examples of how folks utilize their weekly habits and activities. You can fill out all 5 lines, or you can just track a couple of things, right? If you have a crazy, crazy week, set yourself up for success and just, put a sticker over this spot and don't worry about it. Or maybe only track 1 or 2 things so that you can feel successful. I want to point out the one at the top middle. I don't know if they're going on vacation at the end of the week, but they're only tracking 3 days this week. The one in the very middle over to the right, you'll notice that they are going to kind of gamify this section and do something 5 times, then 4 times. And yes, Myron is just saying, I'm going to try that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just to kind of gamify it and make it a fun way of achieving the things that you want to put down on this page. You'll also notice those two, the middle and the bottom right, those days that are circled. That can be very helpful to kind of hold yourself to accountability. And then I shared, I use a medication every 3rd day. And so I forget which days. So I actually circled the days in my tracker so that I can keep track of when it's time for that medication again. You can set goals or you can leave the goal space empty. It's really up to you. Again, embrace what is going to help you be the best version of yourself through this week. Let's work on this for a moment and I'll come back and check on you. Thank you for sharing in the chat how you utilize this space. You guys are going to have a great week. You are respecting your boundaries. You know what you are able to do, what you're going to have time for. I love how flexible this space can be. So now we're going to jump over to page 41, our little next door neighbor page, and I'm going to show you examples for every space on this page at once, and then I'm going to give you a chunk of time to work on all of it because some of these get repurposed quite frequently, and I have a ton of examples to show you. And you may find that you want to move your meal plan over to the Mind Body Health plan, or maybe your shopping list becomes a bingo board like I do. So let's take a look at some ways that you can do the meal plan. If you don't use it for a meal plan or a meal tracker, you can do a symptom tracker, which is really great to have all your data in one space for a week. Then you can share with your healthcare provider a daily debrief, kind of that end of the day reflection, daily scripture, schoolwork or homework, lesson plan reminders. You can do journal prompts and responses. I love the idea of feels and meals. So you could frame this out two different ways. I'm hungry, I'm going to go eat, and how am I feeling? Am I going to make, if you're struggling with making good choices, I do that. I tend to just go grab that chips and salsa when I'm feeling hungry. So I need to stop and really think about how am I feeling? But you could also use this as kind of a after you eat sort of meals and feels. I ate this. How did it make me feel? Am I having some issues I need to share with my healthcare provider? Maybe you do a self-care plan or a weekly reflection. There are a lot of folks put their daily affirmations here, or they do a chore list. You can do appointments that you have with yourself, a wardrobe tracker. I do always like to point out that those water drops, the color-coded water drops are a great way to track what you're drinking. You can do different colors for different things you're drinking. And then someone said in Sonder Club last night that they actually use those water drops to kind of code how the daily ritual hit them, how they appreciated that daily ritual. If it's something that really resonated, it got 8 little marks. And if it was like, I'm still going to sit with this one, I'm kind of half, I'm going to put 4 here, and it's going to make me dig deeper into why I'm feeling that way. I thought that was a really neat way of tracking that. The Mind Body Health Plan. This is a fun little space to do some fun stuff like this alliteration ideas, the Motivation Monday, Transformation Tuesday, being very mindful of doing things for your self-care. And again, I'm going to go back and forth between all these slides so you can grab something that maybe speaks to you. Here's other ways of setting this up, using it for Wordle. How do I feel and what do I need because I'm feeling that way? The one in the very bottom middle, that is a truly, how am I embracing my self-care this week and assigning tasks to each day? The one over there on the bottom right, how did I care for myself this week? And I love that they're tracking said no, worked on a puzzle, had lunch with friends. There's a cleaning list there. Here's some more ways of framing these out. You see there's an alliteration one over there on the right, the Meatless Monday, TV Free Tuesday. My favorite is just this whole space says, get off my butt. So when I open my journal, if you see something like that, it's going to be inspiring to you to make sure that you are putting that movement into your day. One thing I did at one time is there on the bottom left. I just gave myself kind of a little menu of ways to move my body, and then I drew lines from each day for whatever I ended up ultimately doing. We have our shopping list. There's a whole lot of suggestions, again, ways to repurpose that shopping list if you don't use it as a shopping list. My shopping list is on my phone. So like I said, I do a bingo. But here are some ways that our Sonder family has set that up. Now, I do love a bingo. I want to mention if you are having a celebratory week, somebody said they're celebrating 4 birthdays this week. I suggest making a birthday week bingo. I did this last year. It's in the top corner there. It was so much fun to just hone in on celebrating myself. I had a lot of fun doing it. And as you can see, I colored in all the boxes. So I didn't have any tasks on there. It was all about embracing, celebrating my birthday. I love the unshopping list, the no unnecessary spending reminder, or the stay out of the dollar store reminder. And again, other ways of setting this space up, doodles, and then look at this one on the bottom right. Talk about being intentional with the people that are in your life. It's a social check-in. Did I text, call, or have a face-to-face? And the days of the week are listed there with all the folks that this person intends to interact with in a week. Oh, I love that. Love that connectiveness, being intentional with that. And then finally, we have the I am loving space. And that to me is like a snapshot of right now, this very moment. What are you loving? So I showed you a ton of examples. Let me put on some music and I'll let you work on this page. And if you repurpose any of these spaces, drop in the chat what you do and how it works for you, because you may be inspiring somebody else. guys have some great ideas. I encourage you to put these ideas in Sonder Club so that others can be inspired by how you repurpose these spaces. Lots and lots of really great ideas. Thank you so much for sharing in the chat. I'm going to show you very quickly. We're going to scroll through, but I'll put these on as we leave our time together. But these are just some ways that some folks have set up that weekly spread, how they do their appointments. And you can see those alliteration days on the top of the one, on the top of the day, on the one on the right, Motivation Monday, Transformation Tuesday, just having that mindfulness of what that's going to look like. I really would love to see your sections shared in Sonder Club if you are comfortable. And believe it or not, we are at the end of our time together. So I'm going to drop my Spotify list there if you'd like to go and grab that. You're welcome to listen. It is on Spotify. I know some folks don't have a subscription. And then finally, here are two very important QR codes. We are still doing the refer a friend special. So you get 10, they get 10 off if you do that refer a friend. And then finally, the feedback QR code is right there. So you can scan that in. You'll also receive a follow-up email to this event, and any feedback you would have about your journal or what you've seen or what you'd like to see, please put that in that survey. Headquarters takes those surveys quite seriously. I want to wish you a wonderful week of leaning into being loyal to yourselves on the family. Thank you for carving out this time and spending it with Bailey and me. Have a good one.